Hi guys, thanks for tuning in. It is Saturday the 2nd of June 2018 and it's now been 3 whole months since my accident, and all this time I've been living with my brain injury post-concussion syndrome. So this morning I woke up and I'm trying to figure out how I feel about living with this for 3 months. Like, am I where I should be? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? You know, what's going on? So I wrote myself a little blog just a wee while ago, so I'm going to pop the links into the comments below. So now that I've got all these details out of my head, I thought it'd just be nice to come and share this with you on YouTube as well. Just do a wee video for you as well, because sometimes it just gets things across a wee bit better than just on written text, doesn't it? So I'm definitely proud of what I've achieved so far, but I do still feel like I've got a long way to go. And the hardest thing about post-concussion syndrome, it is like the total brain suck-ass version of how long is a piece of string, because nobody can tell you how long that you're going to be living with this brain injury for. So I remember when I got my diagnosis was 5 days after my accident. And I remember my doctor signed me off, and he signed me off for a couple of weeks, and as much as I didn't really have too much understanding at that point, like I'd woken up and I couldn't really understand what was coming out of my mouth. It was just garble, and I couldn't really understand much of what JP was saying either. But the 2-week thing, I remember saying to the doctor, is this 2 weeks from today, or is this 2 weeks from when it happened? And he was like, 2 weeks from when it happened. So in my mind, I didn't know what post-concussion syndrome was. I was just thinking, right, 2 weeks, I'm going to be fine, I've got this. So at that point I was prepared to have like 2 weeks away from my business, and I thought that's all it would be. So I thought I was mentally strong, I was physically strong, I was doing spin class 3 times a week, I was hiking mountains, I was playing badminton, you know, I was a fit, strong person, and emotionally too as well. I thought, this brain injury isn't going to get me. 2 weeks, I'm going to be fine. Until I just wasn't, because as time went on I realised that post-concussion syndrome, it's a brain injury that doesn't discriminate. It's not kind. It doesn't matter how strong you are physically or emotionally, it's going to get you. And unfortunately there's really not too much that you can do about it, and I think that for me has been one of the hardest things to come to terms with. But I've got to a place now, 3 months down the line, that I'm very accepting of my journey and what's going on, and I am making improvements. And so I just want to share this with you, share the successes that I've had, the improvements that I've made, and also some of the things that still need a lot of work. But you know, I want you to know that if you are in the early stages of your PCS recovery journey, then A, you are a warrior, you are going to be so stronger than you ever know is possible, and you are going to make improvements. So let's just kind of jump in then. So I've got my wee notes here just to keep me on track. Okay, so yeah, I'm all for sort of celebrating the wins, and sometimes it's difficult to see the progression that you're making on day, because the way that I found it, and I know for other PCS warriors that I'm in touch with worldwide, is that you have days where one symptom feels a little bit better, and then the next day it's knocked back and you're back to square one. So I kind of judge it more on how am I feeling sort of week on week, or maybe now it's like month by month. You know, look for those sort of changes. Like, bigger changes are going to happen over longer spaces of time, but what you can do is just look for the little wins in every day. So instead of writing yourself off as having a bad day, you know, there's always going to be something that you can be happy about, even if it's the tiniest little thing. You know, you will have wins every day. So go and please just look for something every day that you can celebrate and you can be happy for, no matter if you're having the crappiest day in the world. You know, there's always going to be something that you can find in your day to make you smile about. Alright, so let's go with the first that I've written down of my sort of improvements. So going back 3 months, I would say the biggest improvement that I've made is with my speech and understanding other people. Because on the day, as I said, the day that I got my diagnosis, I could not I couldn't understand. I wasn't making sense of myself. I wasn't making sense of others. Conversation, even as weeks went on, conversation was very difficult because I kind of had these moments where I would be telling people, like, you're talking too fast. I can't understand what you're saying. Talk slowly to me. Give me smaller snippets of information. And what was the other thing? There was something else I've written down here. I've lost it. There was just a whole lot of speech stuff that I couldn't grasp. And then if people were making jokes as well, I couldn't understand. Like little subtleties in conversation were just lost on me. If somebody was telling me a joke, I'd be looking for the actual literal meaning and everything. So jokes weren't making sense, and there was just a whole lot of stuff that I just couldn't make sense of. And as I said, it was forever telling people to slow down the conversation because I couldn't understand, I couldn't keep up. It was just too much information all at once, was just like overload for me, and a lot that I didn't understand. But now, yeah, my speech was slow. My speech was like really slow. So I had no emotion in my voice whatsoever. It was just very much monotone. It was like AJ was just dull. There was no high or no low. It was just, it was pretty meh. But now, as you can tell, 3 months down the line, I can speak like fast, like normal, like the same me that you probably wouldn't have been able to understand me 3 months ago because I talk so fast. So my speech is a heck of a lot better now. There are times where I still, when fatigue hits or I'm getting, like all my other symptoms are hitting me, then things tend to slow down. So my voice, my speech goes really slow, and then I struggle to understand people. And if I'm in noisy environments, then I still struggle. But what I try and do now is, if my speech is slowing down, then that to me is a sign that whatever I'm doing, I need to stop, because that might be the most sort of prominent symptom in the moment, is that my voice will just go slow and I'll be thinking slow and everything will just be slow, and that's kind of how it goes. So I try and use my speech as a warning signal that if that goes, then it's really quite bad. Even if I haven't noticed any of the other symptoms, then I just need to stop whatever I'm doing right at that moment. So when it comes to jokes, yeah, I've got to admit there's still some things that I don't understand in jokes, or if people are trying to tell me jokes, they'll be like not picking it up, or it's all these sayings, all these phrases that you have for things that I can't even think of one right now, but you know those sayings that you just, the sort of silly little things that you use to sum things up. I honestly can't think of any right now, but those kind of things, because my mind's looking for the literal meaning and everything, they just don't make sense. So it's almost like I'm kind of relearning all these things, and it's just like, yeah, she's like, oh, so why does that mean? Why do you use that? Why does that mean what that means? Like, why are you using that phrase? So, and even as they just sort of pop into my mind, I'm like, oh, where did that come from? I you know, I don't know what this means, but I feel like it's appropriate to use it in this conversation. So that's a new thing, and it's definitely, so big improvement on the speech there, as you can tell. The next improvement I've noted down here is headaches. Now, in the beginning, I would say for a good, well, I don't know, maybe like 8, 9, 10 weeks, I was having crippling headaches from the moment that I woke up till the moment that I went to sleep. Every single day, I would just have headaches constantly. So I would have it on the back of my head where it hit my head, and then here on the front where where I guess my brain sort of shunted. But this would be the one that if I was thinking too much, or just things were getting too much for me, this bit would be the bit that would just be like, whoa, and that would be my warning signal to stop. So I would say the last few weeks I am still having headaches, but they're not as crippling as what they were, and they tend to be more like warning signals of if I'm doing something too much. So if I'm reading more than about 10 pages, because that's about all I can manage right now, or for the little time that I'm spending on my computer, if that's too much, or just if anything is getting too much for me, if there's too much noise around me, if there's too much conversation, then that's when that goes. So there can be other times yeah, so there can be other times that it's just random. So I've written one down here is like literally walking into a supermarket. So something that I used to take for granted that I could do, you just wouldn't think about it. But now I have to really think, you know, is this something that I can handle right now? And I think I've maybe only just done it once. Maybe once I've gone on my own. And there was one time that or a couple of times I've remembered that as soon as I've walked into the supermarket, my head's just gone, pfft. It's like, no, you can't handle this. So too much noise, too much light, like there's pictures, text, there's everything everywhere, and it's just too much. So as I said, I do try and use my headaches as a warning signal that my brain's just not happy, but it is improving. Another thing that's improving is my Sudoku. So I think that's where the logic comes in. I know that one of the problems that I've had for a long time is with logic. So as I said, like with language, there's a lot that doesn't make sense, and obviously that's getting better now. But with Sudoku, I remember one of my friends, Pippa, who had PCS, she gave me a book of Sudoku puzzles, and she said, don't try it for 2 weeks because your brain needs time to rest. So I tried it at the 4-week stage, and I was devastated, absolutely gutted, because I'd gone from being able to do advanced level to not being able to comprehend the easy stuff. So I would understand what to do, but when it came to actually doing it, I would just look at the numbers and I would just be staring at the page and getting nothing. So that when that happened, I think that was maybe around week 4, I was gutted, absolutely gutted, because I felt as though I'd been hit by the dumbstick. I just felt so stupid. But I'm not stupid, you know, the intelligence is very much still there. It just takes a while sometimes for my brain to really be able to cut through all like the mess that's going on in my brain and actually get to that. So what I did was I went away and did some word searches. Oops, just hitting the computer there. So training my brain in other ways, and gradually just kept going back to it over time, and then I got to the point where I actually managed to complete that one Sudoku puzzle, and I think that was 6 weeks later. So it took a long time, and now I can do them. So I still try a few times a week to get my puzzle book out, and I'm still on the easy ones, and sometimes I get it, like I can do one puzzle in a day, and other times it's looking at the page and nothing comes, and if that happens, then I just take that as a sign of that's just too much for me today, and that's okay. But overall, my logic and understanding things is getting there, thankfully, so I don't feel so stupid anymore. Okay, now this one is, I would say this is my worst challenge, my biggest challenge, and it's my worst, and I think it's my worst because I feel embarrassed about it, and it is to do with, but I shouldn't be, because I have this brain injury and it is just one of the many symptoms, but it is walking like I am drunk. And I've started using a walking pole recently after my mum and dad and JP convinced me that it was a sensible thing to do, because I didn't want to draw attention to the fact that there's something wrong with me, but it's very clear that there is something wrong when I'm walking, and it is, I suppose, because I was stubborn and like I don't need this, but actually I do, and I know that it's sensible. So I now use a walking stick a walking pole, and I've got a walking stick coming, but to help me get around. So generally on a flat surface I can walk okay-ish, and then when it comes to any sort of incline, then my legs just don't seem to work. I think it's the balance and the coordination. They're very, especially going downhill, like it's not even a steep hill, just any kind of slight down. It is like it's like there's something between my head and my legs just isn't quite working. So it's kind of like watching like a deer or something trying to walk for the first time, you know, a little Bambi or something. It's all like, ooh. So when you see me around, I'm not drunk or on drugs, it's just my legs, and it's something that there hasn't really been too much improvement in that over these last 3 months. And I've had pain in my legs the last few weeks as well, which kind of feels like bones. It feels like they're sore to the bone and they're just absolutely ache. But hopefully I'll be getting that seen to soon. So noise sensitivity is another thing that I'm still really struggling with, although it's settled down a little bit, but most of the time I'll use either headphones to block out noise, and maybe like listen to a little bit of music just to try and help drown out what's going around me, or I'll use earplugs as well. So whenever I leave the house, it's either one or both. I just never go anywhere without them. They're like my coping mechanisms. So it's kind of like it's a sensory overload thing. So if I'm in an environment where it's noisy, like there's a cafe, even if there's like 10-20 people, I'm just like, because there's noise going on around me, my brain then gets to a point where it can't think. I could be mid-conversation and then there could be too many people around me, and I'll just like, the words will just go. So I have to be so careful about where to go, where to sit, how long to spend in places, just so that I can sort of cope with noise. There was one day in the park, I think it was last week, I'd been out sunbathing and fatigue hit and I got a bad headache, so all I was doing was focus on going home. But there was a tractor cutting grass beside me, and as I started to walk up the hill, bear in mind it's not a steep hill, but it's a hill in the park, and as I started to do that, the tractor came really close, and with the noise, with the smell of the grass, with the light, even though I was wearing the earplugs and the headphones and sunglasses, it was just too much, and my body just kind of stopped. It was like I needed to wait until that tractor was gone so that I could actually think, to actually move, to walk. When those senses get overloaded, it's just like my body goes, no, my brain goes, you're just not doing this right now. So I had to wait until it was further away so that I could actually think, to do the foot in front of the other kind of thing. So yeah, so noise is really still a struggle, and I kind of feel sorry for JP as well, because when we're in the flat watching TV, and I don't watch much TV now, but when I do in the evening, if it's me and him, then I have to turn the volume down really low, so then he has to struggle to hear it, because if it was normally 25, then now for me it's 10. It's almost like a third of the volume of what I used to be able to deal with. So what I'll sometimes do is I'll say to JP, look, you just put it on normal volume for you, and I will put my earplugs in so that I can still hear it, but then he's not uncomfortable watching it or like really struggling. So it's a swings and roundabout thing. It's just what I kind of do to deal with it. But again, hopefully in time that will settle. So completing tasks, this one's a bit of a funny one, but between leaving the fridge door open, leaving the oven on, and taps running, I'm basically like a disaster or accident waiting to happen. So it's like my brain can do things to a certain point, and then it just, like, it stops. It kind of thinks, okay, you've done enough of that now. And if I try and do two things at once, I just get like really, my brain just gets so distracted and then forgets what it was doing. And yeah, the amount of times that I've gone to either, that I've thought I've been charging up my phone or my iPad, and I've gone to get them to use them, and I'm like, okay, so it's not charged, I've not switched it on. So with my coordination being as bad as it is, it'll sometimes take me like 5 or 6 attempts to actually get the plug, get the charger into the phone or iPad. I'm like, it just like, and then I have to think to go really slowly to put it in, and then you go back like an hour later and you're like, right, so I've done all that and I didn't even switch it on. Now I know that this is something that lots of people experience, but you maybe do that like once or twice a week, whereas for me this is like a daily occurrence. I do this all the time. So when that happens, when things don't go my way, or if I realise I've had a bit of a slip up, I just kind of laugh about it, because I think I've had to use humour so much to try and get me through this. But that's just it. So yeah, my coordination definitely needs some work. And completing tasks, and I'm hopeful that I will get help with that soon. So memory, so this is yeah, this is another one that's my memory is definitely not on point. So I've got no recollection of the actual accident, and there's between it happening and getting to the hospital, it's all very sketchy. There's like tiny little fragments of some little bits that I remember, but basically 1 minute I'm standing doing a snowboarding, doing a surfing impression at the top of the hill, and then the next I'm like at my mum's going, who are all these, like, I knew who the people were, but why are they all like looking at me, and what's going on, am I dreaming, nothing's making sense. And then from that point on, memory was just really quite difficult, and I've realised over time that as much as I'm struggling with short-term memory, there's conversations that people have told me that I've had since the accident that I have nothing, I've got no recollection of, and so that can be a bit concerning, but you know, there's nothing that I can do about it. All I can do each moment is just live in the moment, and if I don't remember, then I don't remember, and that's the way that it is. There was something else I was going to say about this. So yeah, like my short-term memory stuff trips me up. So the other day I was putting away the dishes, and I looked up in the cupboard, and then there was a mug sitting on top of the plates, and I was looking going, why is that there? That doesn't belong there. But I'd done it like literally just seconds before. Or I'll go and find something in the flat in a place that I don't expect it to be, and I'm like, what's that doing there? Like, why is that there? And I know that it's not being JP. I know that it's me. So I'm doing things and just not having the memory. Like, things just aren't sinking in there. It's a bit tricky sometimes. But as I said, I just need to learn to just live in the moment and just hope that, you know that things will get better over time. It's just a gradual thing. So I am at the moment waiting on a referral to neurosurgery, which, don't be worried, because it's not about getting an operation. It's about that they're the people that will deal with head trauma and will be able to give me the physical help that I need so figure out whatever's going on with my legs, get me help with that, and then possibly help with balance, coordination, memory stuff, all that kind of stuff. So I'm grateful that we're 3 months down the line and that I am now about to get the specialist help. And when it comes to thinking sort of long term, like when am I going to recover from this? Well, I don't think about putting a time limit on it. I don't want to put that pressure on myself, because I was doing that very much in the beginning, just thinking, okay, so I need to be better by this date because I need to do this, or whatever. I would have these big goals, and there was a recent one that I did have, a 3-month goal that I didn't meet, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to be gutted about it. I was a little bit gutted, but I just have to be, okay, so I'm not where I wanted to be, I'm not where I thought I would be right now, but you know, it's okay, you know, so long as I'm making progress and so long as things are improving, and it might be a heck of a lot slower than I ever thought that it would be, but the point is I'm making progress and I'm getting there. So what I guess I want to say to you, so a message to all my warriors. So if you're living with post-concussion syndrome right now, then this message is directly for you. I want you to know that back in the beginning, if somebody had said to me, AJ, you're going to be 3 months down the line, you know, however longer, like you're going to be 3 months down the line and still recovering, I wouldn't have believed it. And back then, when I heard how long post-concussion syndrome could take for people to recover, I didn't want to hear it. You know, I was mentally, physically strong. This was not going to get me. But I've learned that it's going to take its own time, and while there are therapies and there are people that can help you along the way, you know, with therapies, I absolutely love floating because it gives me that relief. It makes me feel more like me. It takes the leg pain away, and it helps me really sleep. So I'm going to pop a little don't know what side it'll be. I'll pop a little link to a wee video that I've done on that. But yeah, there are therapies that can absolutely help you, but ultimately it's going to take some time, and unfortunately there is no magic wand, there's no magic pill, there's no body that can say to you, you're going to be out for however many weeks, days, months, whatever. All you can do is just be kind to yourself. And I wish back in the beginning that I just didn't put that pressure on myself. I wish that I had just, especially in the beginning, I was in so much pain with my whiplash, and it was after that got under control, then the concussion came out in its full force. It's like, yay, here's me, and you're going to take that, and it's going to suck. But it does get better. So if you are that person, especially if you're right in the beginning of your post-concussion syndrome recovery, then be kind to yourself. Take each day as it comes, live in the moment, and just believe that you are going to get better. And remember, the most important thing of all is that you're not broken. You are finding your sparkle, and I want you to do something every single day that makes you happy. Okay guys, thank you so much for your support, for everybody that supported me over the past few months, friends, family, new friends and true friends. I could not have got here without you all, so thank you so much guys, and subscribe if you want to carry on keeping up with my journey, and I'll catch you next time. Much love.